You are listening to the Push Media Podcast Network.
This is good shit.
I know I laced it with blood.
You play to win the game. You remember that quote, right? Everyone knows that quote. That's like one of the most popular drops on every, sports talk radio show in the country. You play to win the game. Playoffs? Point of what I'm saying, the thesis that I humbly submit to all of you is this. There are winners and there are losers. There are people that win. There are people that come out on top. There are people who are victorious in direct competition with others and successfully complete a task. And then there is another group. There is a group, a much larger group by the numbers, called losers. Now, in case you are unfamiliar, and not to take the trite position of, kids today and participation trophies and blah, 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 blah. I have original thoughts, but I say this. For any of you who have forgotten what a loser is, the definition of a loser is someone who didn't win. Now, that's the Webster's definition for loser. I believe the Oxford Dictionary for loser is bum-ass motherfucker who ain't had it that day. Do you understand me? There are people that lose. And thankfully, sometimes it's good when people lose. In fact, more people have to lose than win because that wouldn't be possible if you think about it the other way around. I say all this in a long and roundabout way to say, rough day to be someone who was running for office that had the endorsement of Donald Trump. Rough day to be someone who was running for office and thought publicly, mind you, at least the last election was rigged. That's why I'm running for office, to defend you. That's why I'm running for office, good people of insert state or county. Here, I am running to represent you and overturn the election that was rigged the last time by the guy currently investigated by a committee in D.C. for being responsible for an insurrection. Rough day to be one of you motherfuckers because you lost. It was pretty decisive. That Republicans did not quite have the big red wave that a lot of people were talking about this past election. And a big red wave just sounds honestly not good one way or the other. I mean, you could think of a funny joke, you could think of communist scares, but what you could really be certain of is if you were a candidate, spare, an Atlantic Tactical model who's probably about 40 pounds overweight and has stupid hair in Ohio, spare that guy. All the other people who had Trump's endorsement and thought they were a shoo-in because this guy brings people together, well, to refer you to the definition, the Oxford Dictionary definition for a loser, you are a bum-ass motherfucker who ain't had it. Y'all lost. Motherfucker. Rough. You wouldn't want to be that. And boy, is that good. Boy, is that good. And because I am no fan of Trump particularly, Trump had an opportunity to do some good stuff, and he chose instead to literally just not. But I'm not irrational with my hatred of him. In fact, I've been accused of being a sympathizer to him, simply because, I look at things on a case-by-case basis. Call me old-fashioned. But this has certainly been a decisive moment, and a refreshing one, a needed one, where the influence of Donald Trump has been put to the test, it's been put on display, it's been highlighted in every election happening across the country, and it turns out it ain't carrying much weight. Turns out it was about as successful as Trump Steaks or Trump University. Both of those are defunct, as is any chance of you getting elected if he endorsed you. And that goes for motherfuckers everywhere. It's not just like they lost the big Senate race in Pennsylvania that a lot of people were following between Uncle Fester from the Addams family and a Turkish Sultan quack who peddles raspberries. Everyone was aware of that race. And it turns out Fetterman came out on top. That's just what happened. And I mean this genuinely. Kudos to Dr. Mehmet Oz, who, as a Turkish Sultan, was able to convince a large swath of conservative white people that he has their best interest in heart. I mean, genuinely, I'm not being ironic or sarcastic. Literally one of the most impressive things I've ever seen, that a Turkish person convinced Red America that this is their guy. I mean, he dressed it up real well, but again, hats off to him. But if you were any of the other people, like say someone in Michigan, Georgia, Arizona, and you thought, I got this is a lock, I got Trump supporting me, the MAGA fan base is powerful, it's big, it's still sustaining. Sure, a lot of the people can't go to every single candidate rally because they have to, it's their shift for pedophile hunting. But the MAGA base is still strong. Well, turns out that was put to the test, and it's not. In fact, if you were a Republican running who did not have Trump's endorsement, you probably won your race. If you were Ron DeSantis, oh man, and just saying Ron DeSantis and talking about him now has me feeling a whole bunch of things. It's got me feeling some type of way because on one hand, Ron DeSantis is now clearly defined as the guy who is the Republican Party's best chance at, running against Biden. That is, of course, if he is able to successfully defeat former President Donald Trump in the primaries. And that is, of course, dependent on if the fact former President Donald Trump is able to defeat jail time on his part. So this was a big crucial moment because it really was like the midterm election that was going to show everyone that the proof is in the pudding, Theo, and MAGA is no longer. It is not the influential brand. It is not the alternative lifestyle leisure brand that we all thought was just as popular as Lululemon. It turns out people don't really love it when insurrections take place. And this is not good for Trump because if Trump, and he was still trying to get the election overturned, the previous one, the one that he lost and is now almost halfway over since then, particularly in Georgia, where both candidates that he backed lost. And then we have out in Arizona, the governor race between two women. Who says Arizona's not progressive just because they have chain gangs build roads out there in the hot Arizona sun? Who said they aren't champions of forward thinking? Out in Arizona, we have two women running for governor, one of them named Carly. And, this is not me being chauvinistic. This is just me being judgmental, honestly, truly. I think names are important. Names matter. Names have a certain connotation to them that means something. There are certain people, like take for example, if your name is Sinbad, you have very limited options in life. You can be a pirate or a comedian. You can't just, be an actuary named Sinbad. Just like if your name is Carly, I have a feeling you shouldn't be governor, but that's just me. And if that's not strong enough evidence for you, she's another crazy white fuck who decided that the election that Trump lost was rigged. And I know it was rigged because he told me. And I'm going to run on that fact, and whether I'm even aware of it or not, help to dismantle every function of our government that preserves it. Turns out that ain't working, honey. Ain't working well for you. You could also be one of the, relatively attractive women who was running for office in Colorado named Lauren Boebert, right? Yeah, Lauren Boebert. And the only reason I stumble over her name is because her name just reminds me of the woman who cut off her husband's penis. You know what I'm talking about? Lorena Bobbitt, I think. Lauren Boebert and Lorena Bobbitt both are coming for the dick in different types of ways. Lorena Bobbitt is cutting it off. And Lauren Boebert, she's coming for the dick, but you better have cash because she's been accused legitimately, and there's texts and records to prove it, of being a prostitute before she held elected office. But none of that matters because Trump endorsed her. And the race out there in Colorado is actually pretty close. The last I could read was that, Lauren was only like 100 total votes away from the lead. And that's a very small margin of error. And a lot of that, of course, to blame, I'm imagining. I'm just guessing. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a climatologist, which ain't a word, and I'm not in DARPA. But I would think a lot of the people in Colorado having a hard time about picking who should win between someone who was a prostitute before and someone who wasn't, I would imagine a lot of the thinking in there is just a result of a lack of oxygen in the air. So she still has a chance, but mostly just like John Wayne Bobbitt's penis, it's probably on ice. She's probably not going to eke it out. And this is important. This is a good thing. Now, if you're not a Republican, that's fine. I don't blame you. They haven't done a great job at courting you throughout the years. Understandable. Now, still, this should be This should be good. You should take this as good news because that means the guy who, not that he did, but certainly was angling like he had this brand new type of influence over politics despite not being in them currently and under investigation for all of the acts he committed while he was dangerous. And no one really knew just how powerful the MAGA brand still was. Even with tremendous spokespeople representing the MAGA brand like Donald Trump Jr. and all of these other people running for office like former prostitute or Herschel Walker, who, holy shit, is he insane? Unlike all of them, we now know, generally, and I'm even a little surprised by this, the average public, the voting public, wasn't really falling for the Trump stuff anymore. They're not really into it as much. And if you were a Republican who ran and didn't have Trump's endorsement, you probably won your race. What does that tell you? What does that seem to suggest? Almost like there's a stink on being attached to the guy who stinks. And that is reassuring, and boy, did I not see that coming. It's great news that the people are generally a little more intelligent and concerned about everyone acting like a grown-up a little more than I thought. Now, of course, there's still places with pockets of generally idiots. And I don't mean idiot in the classical Greek sense as like a non-voter. These people certainly voted, but they had to toil over whether or not they should vote for people like Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker, who, and in case you haven't been following this, I'm sure you're familiar that there was the controversy that came out, the October surprise, if you will, of Herschel Walker having to pay for an abortion before. That was just something he said. Now, when I first heard about that one, I was like, honestly and truly, not to sound European and too cool for all of this, but like, why does that matter if he did that one way or the other? That shouldn't affect the job he's trying to run for. And then, of course, because nothing is ever... Anytime you give anyone the benefit of the doubt, that's your fault, I guess, at least in politics. But then, of course, I did a little more digging, and it turns out anti-abortion was like a hallmark cornerstone of Herschel Walker's campaign platform. So, you don't really want to vote for a hypocrite. You also don't really want to vote for a guy who, when asked about climate change, said, well, see, I know about climate change. Donald Trump told me, so I know it's right. Wow. And then he proceeds to explain to the person who asked him the question, Herschel Walker, that is, climate change is really the result of the communist Chinese who have a machine that sucks in the air and spits out bad air in the direction of America. Now, all of you know this. This makes perfect sense and is logical. I am someone who played football and had my head smashed against the ground, other people, and any other surface nearby for the better part of 2 decades. Pay no attention to the fact I have repeated brain trauma, and I said climate change is actually a communist Chinese machine because Trump told me that guy's election was too close to call and there will be a runoff in December. So I can rest assured that there still are pockets of deep stupidity, which is good because we need stuff to talk about. But it's better news that there is not as many of them as I thought, and that the era of Trump is appearing to, slowly, loudly, painfully limp away from public existence. And now we have the dawning of a new era. We have the dawning of a new era in politics in which Ron DeSantis, Wop Guinea Sauce Monkey, because, racism against Italians is still 100% totally socially acceptable. We now have an era of Ron DeSantis probably being the next president because Trump has just proven to be himself, and everyone else has finally seemed to tip over the 51% of the people who finally have figured that out, that maybe this guy is, not looking out for your best interests, and now that is clearly pointing to Ron DeSantis, who won his re-election bid in Florida, which everyone claims is like a battleground state that flips back and forth, but has pretty much always been red, but this time went real red. I'm talking like Washington Redskins red. Take that, Dan Snyder, and fuck Carson Wentz. Bring back the Redskins. That's a stance not many people are going to take, but I will. Probably shouldn't have. And now I'm just sitting in a very poor decision. But anyway, Ron DeSantis won decisively his bid to be governor of Florida again. Now, he first became like a public name because he was the guy in charge of Florida. And anyone in charge of Florida has a lot on their plate. I mean a lot. I'm talking bath salts, alligators, and the Israeli Special Forces helping with the demolition of buildings. There's a lot going on in Florida. And Ron DeSantis actually handled it well, especially during COVID, when he proudly said Florida's going to do one of its more Floridian things in a while and eschew any type of masks because of COVID. Now, that was a gamble. That seriously was. I mean, that was pretty much Ron. And I don't know how hot I am with the idea of a potential president having the name Ron either. It doesn't really sound like it carries any regal stature. But the point is, Ron really gambled it, really risked it, really shook the dice. That would have been too soon for Amigos joke. He really rolled the dice when he said Florida's not going to do masks. Because if the death rate were to have been even kind of higher than average compared to other states, it would have entirely fell on his monkey wop ginzo shoulders. Do you understand what I mean when I say that? But it didn't. In fact, Florida's numbers were proportionally, I believe, the same as California, who's still doing weird shit. And always will, because it comes with the territory. Why was there glass on the outside of the broken window in San Francisco at the Pelosi house? Weird shit will continue to happen out there. But Ron shook the dice, and they came up pro-Florida, because Florida just kept chugging along, acted like coronavirus didn't happen, and you know how they were rewarded for that? Everyone and their mom moved to the state, and Ron became a leading figure expected to be the next president. The only issue, the only obstacle that stood in his way, potentially, was the golden-haired casino magnate and former reality television star who had once peddled steaks through the mail. Now, a lot of people, believe it or not, were worried that guy still had some influence over Republicans. Because at the end of the day, he is charismatic. And the people who support him are literally insane and have proven willing to use violence to do so. So, anyway. But instead, Ron DeSantis ran his race as a Republican, not endorsed by Trump, someone who actually took shots at Trump, and he won handily. And the best part of that is Trump had to watch that in Mar-a-Lago in Florida. It's beautiful. Mwah, chef's kiss. And now, hopefully and thankfully, we can kind of start inching back to something that resembles normal in the political process. Maybe we could get back to a time where just two candidates are running and neither of them are talking about the last election being completely rigged. Maybe we could have an election again between two candidates who don't accuse the other one and every other member of that party as being literal professional pedophiles. Because that's insane. Even though there was an island in the Atlantic, let's not talk about it. Maybe we can get back to conventional elections, business as usual. You know, like when Hillary and Obama had a primary. Normal, civil elections in which only one candidate accuses the other one of being from Kenya. You know what I mean? Let's get back to normal times like that. Let's go back to the days of yesteryear where Hillary Clinton carried hot sauce in her purse when she went to the Breakfast Club. Let's go back to the time she questioned whether or not Obama was born in America. Let's go back to that simpler times. Because right now, and I am someone who appreciates chaos, I truly do. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's really entertaining. This has gotten out of hand. We cannot have elections. We can't have people running for governor in Pennsylvania who claim God is speaking to them. We can't have people who are trying to get elected into office campaigning for election votes who are saying the previous election was fake and rigged. We can't have people running for office who just throw around the word spy all willy-nilly. Because we only allow Hillary Clinton to do that, she's grandfathered in. We just got to get back to just some more normal shit. Politics needs to be a little more boring. And I don't know, and I'm conspiracy guy, I guess, or I'm not. I don't know. I believe everything mainstream. There's not a base on the moon. But I just feel like I don't know if this is like a coordinated effort, and I'm sure politicians have mastered the art of deflection and not really addressing direct questions. But doesn't it just seem like the problems, the issues that the voting public should be asking are literally the last ones on everyone's mind? And granted, the voting public has never been that intelligent, hence the problem with democracy. But like as of late, we have gotten really distracted. Really, hey, look over here at the circus. Nah, pay no attention to the fact you don't have health care or a sound immigration policy. You know, why don't we ask about those things? Not like, hey, if elected, what will you do to round up the other politicians who are pedophiles who go to a pizza place for lunch and do pedophile things? What would you do to solve that? If elected, what would you do to destroy the communist Chinese weather machine that is pointing dirty air at us? Well, obviously, clean coal, pro-Trump. You know, how about we pay a little bit of attention? Because it feels like to me, somehow that there's like been an extra effort to really obfuscate what we should be talking about. And I don't know if people have gotten dumber, and in some cases, obviously people have gotten dumber. But again, there was also an island in the Atlantic, so I don't want to say I get it, because all QAnon, even Q sympathizing people are truly and literally the dumbest people walking around on Earth right now, and that's including that kid from school you remember. What I'm saying is it seems like the questions and the concerns have gotten so cartoonishly ridiculous, you know, like questioning elections and that island in the Atlantic, that no one is asking any relevant question, and no one even seems to understand what the questions should be. I don't know if that's on purpose, I don't know if it's not, but it seems like we've taken our first step towards marching back to normalcy in some way, towards kind of getting our heads screwed on back a little bit, towards not voting for people who think God tells them to run for governor of Pennsylvania, or the last election was rigged by Russia, because this guy who looks like a German wet dream and is really handsy with his daughter told me to. Congratulations, everybody. I am actually impressed. Well done. Now let's talk about Kyrie Irving and the Jews. So, Kyrie Irving is a fucking idiot. And I mean that sincerely. And Kanye is as well, and I'm not defending him, even though there's mental illness and there's a whole bunch of other stuff that is to be considered with Kanye, or the artist formerly known as Kanye West. Now, with Kyrie Irving, this guy is just literally dumb as dog shit. He is dimmer than candlelight, this guy. And Kyrie used to be fun when he thought the earth was flat, because that wasn't hurting anybody. In fact, when you decide to come out as a flat earther, I encourage that type of shit, because now we know again who is stupid. Thank you for speeding up the process. But Kyrie Irving, in case you're not familiar, he watched something on Amazon Prime that had some anti-Semitic stuff in it, and he tweeted a link about it on Elon's new Twitter, and he was allowed to do that, and everyone was like, hey, Kyrie, just so we're clear, do you also hate Jews? And, you know, Kyrie had every opportunity to clear up that question by simply responding with, I'm just trying to bring light to the stuff that, you know, the powers that be and the Illuminati and those who believe that keep the shape of the earth flat or whatever. I'm just trying to, man, I'm a victim, all right? Power to the individual. I'm here to spread knowledge. He basically went on like a fucking B.O.B. rant where he just had a minute, and then he just decided to leave rap because he lost his fucking mind. It's the same thing with Kyrie. And Kyrie has taken every single hallmark step into crazier and crazier. It's almost like the Department of Justice is telling him what to do next. It starts with him thinking the earth's not round, which, you know, you're stupid, but fine. Then he has some COVID vaccine issues, because obviously there is a chemical in the vaccine that the Chinese have produced that uses something from the glowing chemical of a firefly that will at some point with the mRNA vaccines activate our DNA, fuck your mom and your dad and anyone else who's ever raised you or spoke to you as a child and put a thought into your head. And then Kyrie took it a step further and watched something on Amazon Prime that wasn't so friendly on Jews. And then Kyrie had every opportunity to clear it up. And he said, you know, I'm not saying I don't hate Jewish people. Congratulations. And it is a little alarming. And I'm not someone who likes to say, like, words are really serious and, like, you know, you have to not say anything. Like, I'm not someone who wants to make sure I can't hear something I don't like. I can manage. I am capable of hearing something I disagree with. That being said, it is a little perturbing that there seems to actually be an uptick in anti-Semitism. That's all I'm saying. It's weird, right? Strange. I mean, history repeats itself. And, you know, Jewish people's history has a few bright spots, but awful lot of dim ones as well. Awful lot of not so bright spots. And it ain't great when you have very influential people all of a sudden, it looks like building off of one another's momentum and thinking anti-Semitism is just cool or it's the flavor of the month. And then you have people who blame Elon Musk for Kyrie Irving's anti-Semitism because that makes absolute perfect sense. And now Elon has found himself in a shitload of shit. I'm talking real shitty shit with this whole Twitter thing. And I would just like to remind everyone again, you don't need a Twitter. If this is causing you too much stress, if you think Elon is a fascist, if it's just really keeping you up at night, the fact that a fascist is taking control of an app you don't have to have on your phone, I would just want to remind you, delete it. Fucking delete it. This is not that important. But Elon took over Twitter, and people are all upset. Now, he gets into Twitter with the porcelain sink making a point, and he starts firing everyone who is severely overpaid and working very little, and censoring people whenever they decide to do work. Now, people were like, oh my God, he's coming in and firing people. He's firing people and offering them double their severance package. And then, mind you, hiring them back. And that was another thing. People were saying Elon has no idea what he's doing. He's hiring and then he's firing and then hiring the same people again. He can't make up his mind. No, bozo. He had a bunch of engineers who were already working there getting paid way too much money, probably because they were happily censoring whatever the fucking White House called and asked them to censor. That's real. Department of Justice papers prove that. And instead, Elon comes in, fires them, gives them twice the severance he's legally obligated to, so you can't come at him for that, and then offers them their job back at the actual median rate that they should be paid for it. I would argue that's just someone good at business. And I would argue you, person on Twitter, using Twitter to bitch about Twitter, keep in mind all activity on Twitter has never been higher because everyone's complaining. We are so unaware of the things that we do. Everyone bitching about Twitter not knowing how to run, about Elon not knowing how to run Twitter. Do you think it's more likely that the richest man in the world knows what he's doing with business? And you work at the Dollar Tree? You work at Charlotte Russe? You are a dental hygienist at the very best? You are someone who passed their peak 15 years ago? You are still struggling how to use the register. You still don't know what POS means, and you're 30. And you think you understand labor laws and best practices more than Elon Musk? Are you fucking kidding me? Elon is an alien who comes from a family that mines precious metals in the earth using people as a resource. You're better at business? I think not. Elon is also not doing himself any favors. And now I'm going to attack him because I defended him and I have no interest in being consistent. Elon is also kind of walking right into this vacuum that appears to be sucking stuff in, because that's what vacuums do, as does your mom's mouth. But anyway, the vacuum left by Trump, and Trump occupied an important place in a lot of retarded people's minds, good or bad, left or right. People on the right loved him because, whatever. People on the left loved Trump because they hated him. Think about what I said. They loved him because they hated him. They had something to do all day. They had a villain. And simple people need simple explanations and simple characters. Simple villains, simple this, simple that. If you are a simpleton who thinks Elon Musk is doing bad stuff and there's fascism upticks on Twitter now because he, is mean sometimes or whatever. And now look at, he's firing people and he's hot, blah, 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 blah. No. Think very clearly. Think long and hard. What are the odds you're actually right? I genuinely think to yourself, you as the dental hygienist or employee of the month at Costco, what are the chances you are correct and Elon Musk is wrong? I ask you that. You have people who are now saying, look at this fascist, because they don't understand fascism, because Elon is banning people or suspending people who impersonate other people, who pretend to be him or other people. And then you would see simpletons, because they're brain simple, say, look at what Elon's doing. He's banning anyone who criticizes him. No, dumb fuck. He's banning anyone who literally made a Twitter account to mirror his Twitter account. You cannot impersonate other people. Impersonation is not covered under free speech. Man, people just say words they've heard around and throw it at the wall. How the fuck would impersonation be covered under free speech? If I were to dress up like a police officer and pull you over, I guarantee you I would not walk off scot-free because I'm allowed to say it. What did I even say in that situation? People are simple as fuck. And with Trump apparently and thankfully losing some of his influence and not being president anymore, all of the people that love to hate him, there is now a vacuum open. There are simpletons who need to put their hate somewhere because that's how they exist and express themselves in the world. They scream I exist by saying I hate things. And the easiest person to hate was Trump. I don't necessarily blame them for that. And Elon is slowly taking that role over. They tried to do it with Rogan for a little bit, but it didn't stick because he too is a little sauce monkey meatball Ginzo wop bitch who's literally 5'3". But Elon Musk, because I guess it's a sense of humor, Asperger's, the fact he's not actually a human being but an alien, he's, egging people on. He's tweeting things he shouldn't be. He's tweeting out loud. He's thinking and talking at the same time and tweeting, which is literally what Trump's problem was. Now, it seems like he's going to take over the position of #1 world's most hated person, and I hope he's ready for it. But I really think he's honestly just trying to do the right thing. And everyone who's upset, like, for example, the check mark situation, to have a blue check mark, it's going to be included. Like, if you're a verified person, that's going to get rolled into the Twitter Blue program, which is something you have to pay for. It's $8 a month. If you have a blue check mark and you want to keep it, it's now getting rolled into the program where you would have to then pay $8 a month. So all celebrities and a lot of people that are important, like, not Keanu Reeves from Bill and Ted and Kathy Griffin, those types of industry leaders, they're all upset on Twitter. They're like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. This is fascism. Because, again, do you have any idea what fascism is? Truly and literally, fascism can't be something that made your day inconvenient. It's actually something that killed your grandparents, usually, or made bread $800. Not the fact your Twitter now costs $8 to keep the blue check mark you so covet. Celebrities are so vapid and insecure, there is an outrage from multimillionaires that they now have to spend $8 a month to keep a blue check mark. Think about that. People are up in arms and misusing political words because millionaires have to spend $8 a month because Elon had this bold, innovative strategy that a business should make money. Isn't that strange and weird? Maybe we shouldn't just be this giant thing that somehow has never turned a profit and only accepts calls from the Department of Justice and White House, and we censor whatever they tell us to. Oh, by the way, Biden was asked about Elon taking over Twitter, and he was like, man, it's worth looking into some of his ties to foreign countries. Okay, sure, maybe. It's also worth looking into the reports from the Department of Justice and Homeland Security that proved the White House called Twitter several times and told them what to censor, like the fact your son's laptop had videos of him smoking crack and banging hookahs. Okay? Maybe we should look into Elon's foreign ties. Sure, maybe we should look into yours, literally in the Ukraine or the oil company that needed an oil painter because there was some miscommunication and you sent over your son to help with Burisma, the oil company. Look into his foreign ties. How about we just trust the guy whose track record is pretty good? And again, you're not smarter than him. I know it's easy to think you're smarter than other people. I'm doing it right now, but you're not. Trust the experts. I mean, be discerning in who you think is an expert, but know what you don't know. And listen to someone who does. Because if not, Herschel Walker is going to get elected. CTE.